Whether your family is enjoying summer fun by the pool or trying to stay afloat in the busy back-to-school season, don't forget to make sure that everyone can see clearly. Pearl Vision works with all major vision plans, including iMed. Plus, they're offering free lenses for kids with a frame purchase. Schedule your family's eye exams at pearlvision.com. Valid prescription required. Valid at participating locations. Restrictions apply. Taxes extra. See store for details. Ends 12/31/23. Exams available at the independent doctors of optometry at or next to Pearl Vision. Some doctors employed by Pearl Vision.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you are a creator needing post-production, consultation, or promotion, Walt Mills is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube production, photography work, or a new headshot, he can help you find a solution to match your needs. To learn more about Walt and his work, go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Productions. If you are in need of turnkey special event production, Clow is your go-to. You can learn more about him and his work at upbeatmediapro.com. All right, we're super excited to welcome our guest today, John Michael Rogers. All right, so we're going to tell our audience a little bit about you, and then we're going to jump into this.
Outstanding. That
Sound
sounds
good?
great. Yeah,
All right.
Absolutely.
Born and raised in Dallas, a lifelong Cowboys fan, John Michael has worked with the organization in a couple of sales roles between AT&T Stadium and the Star in Frisco for over a year. He graduated from Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama in 2017, and from 2018 to 2020, he worked as a traveling college admission recruiter.
Yes, ma'am.
Earned his MBA, flipped his first home. He ascended to middle management and admissions and spent a year as a financial aid counselor before transitioning to America's team. Most would consider this an unusual transition. However, during his college break, breaks, he earned his stripes as a salesman at a luxury pre-owned dealership, and his prevailing aptitude has been sales ever since.
Yes, ma'am.
You are definitely good at that, too. I know. You are good. You're good at networking, meeting people, and having conversation, which is a huge part of sales, by the way, right?
Absolutely.
So welcome to the show. We're
Thank
excited
you.
to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And I was telling Chloe, because, I just background, I met John Michael at an event. I can't remember, was it a Legends event
It was
originally?
a Legends happy hour.
Yeah, I met him originally, and then we ran into it, I think again, and then I attended one of your events. But I just remember I was talking to him, and I was like, he's like young, and he's like, just kind of got that hustler mentality, like mover mentality, like just moving, making things happen, which I think is great when we're doing what we're doing, because whether you're your own entrepreneur or you're working in an organization, if you're not moving and making things happen, nothing's happening.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
you got to have that mindset. And I think that's a unique trait. So we're excited to have you.
Well, I appreciate it.
All right. So I want to open this up. I'm like, he graduated from college in 2017.
Yeah.
You're like, think like you're like my daughter's age. I'm like my
Yes.
daughter. I'm like, where are my kids at in this? Because I told you a little bit about my son,
Absolutely.
my youngest. And
Yeah.
you kind of remind me. Like I said, you two remind me of each other in a lot of ways, and I think that's awesome.
You must be a great kid.
He is a great kid. I told him he needs to go work with you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You two can
be
work
happy
well
to talk
together.
with him.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit, because you were in college recruiting. You were doing
Yes.
admissions and
Yes, ma'am.
recruiting. And so tell us a little bit about that and kind of what led you to where you are today, because we talked about this off camera.
Yeah.
And what you were doing and how you kind of transitioned into this new space.
Absolutely. So, in college, I was selling cars. I found a passion for that when I was going home for breaks. And admissions is a sales role.
Right.
Okay. So, the thing about it is you've got to really be committed to loving sales in a role like that, because as I've told many people, after my time in admissions, it's probably one of the worst industries you could be a salesperson in, because they don't pay you commission. You have to really be in love with the idea of being goal-oriented, accomplishing your goals. And, there is an added element, not that I don't work in what I consider to be a service role now,
Right.
but you really are taking a holistic approach in that sales process. This is the biggest decision a kid has made in their entire lives.
Right.
many of these kids are not coming from Mobile, Alabama. We had a really interesting contingent at Spring Hill. It's a Catholic school. It's Jesuit college like Georgetown or Santa Clara. So we have our demographic is built up of these kids from Catholic pockets all over the United States. Dallas we had somewhat of a contingent at Spring Hill, but you're looking at kids from New Orleans, St. Louis, Chicago, kind of all over the country. And with that in mind, I mean, these parents are trusting you with their children. You're going to be the first person they call when Johnny gets an F in biology, and he's like, why is my kid not showing up to class? I thought you said this was a holistic experience for him, and this was going to be the best environment for him possible. Of course, I can't instill accountability in the kids that I recruit, but it was a great process, and it reminded me, I guess just reinforcing me, a love for sales. It was a complicated role. It was a small, struggling private school. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, I'd be surprised if they had ever even heard about Spring Hill College before tuning in. It's one of those things where it's not a name brand. I went to hundreds of college fairs, and you've got your University of Texas and Arkansas and LSU, and kids lining up out the door to wait in line for them. You got to catch that spillover and try to put the spiel on Spring Hill, and you're the number one revenue source for the college. So there's definitely, as a 22-year-old, there was quite a bit of pressure on my shoulders just to make sure that we were performing for the college. So
yeah, well, and I'm interested because just really looking at your whole deal here. I mean, car salesman. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Because that is got to be probably, in my eyes, one of the toughest things to be able to do, and to be your age and be able to do that.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How was that for you? Because you did this during your breaks, right?
I did it, when I was in college. Man, it was so much fun. I worked.
I love how he puts it. Exactly. It's so much fun. I'm loving this.
It was a blast. I'll have to show you some of the little car commercial gambits I was involved in here after the broadcast today. But no, it's one of those positions where there's really we have interns working for the Cowboys now who were really trying to coddle but also help them develop as young professionals. There was no coddling on the used car lot.
Right.
To come back from a college break and to maybe finish fourth probably in my best month out of 13 salespeople, there wasn't a lot of smiles and congratulatory handshakes, It is a dog-eat-dog type of sale, but it was something that taught me how to really interact with just about anybody. Everybody's looking for transportation, right? And in the pre-owned industry, we had people coming in and buying Mitsubishis. That was kind of our flagship brand, but our specialty at my division was Corvettes, Maseratis. We did aftermarket upgrades to pickup trucks and stuff. We'd put lifts on them. So we had a lot of lake people coming out and getting big souped up pickup trucks and all sorts of stuff like that. But you gotta exude confidence in any sales role. You have to, and as a young 20-something, to give the buyer a sense of this guy is credible. That's a process. You got to really develop that over time. You got to hear no a few times and be comfortable hearing it, so.
Yeah, well, my background is in sales too, so I absolutely get it. And when I started my first business, I was in my 20s, probably a little older than you were, but I was closer, I think it was 27. But yes, I absolutely agree with you on the no's. That you have to get a lot of no's to get to the yeses. But I think this says a lot about you in a sense, because you've learned a lot of great skills. I mean, to be able to do that and to walk away and take that experience, and how do you push this into your next, endeavor that you're doing? And I think sales is an art. I mean, you can't just you've heard, we all know the classic car sales type person, right? And we all know that even like what you're doing now, that's a very different type of sales, but it is still sales, right? And so I do think it is an art, and you have to work at it, and you have to be okay with rejection.
Yes.
But I do think it makes you stronger.
It certainly does.
It makes you tougher and a lot less weathered by the rejection.
The worst thing anybody can say is no, right?
Exactly. And you won't get a yes if you don't ask,
That's right.
And I love your attitude, by the way, because I was laughing when he said that about the beginning when we asked about the car sales, and he's just like, it was fun.
It was fun.
I think it's great. If you have that you can have that outlook on it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think that can make a difference in everything. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, because you're doing great. You're in sales right now. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
So I work over at Formation at the Star. It's a co-working space owned by the Cowboys at the Star in Frisco. It is a relatively new business within the Cowboys machine. We just celebrated our 3rd anniversary last week. So we opened on August 1st of 2019. So probably had 4 months pre-pandemic in a co-working space. People were coming and working.
Right.
And we've quadrupled in size since that time. Okay. So I think I think just looking back for some semblance, it's a model of perseverance and what this brand has been able to accomplish beyond anything in the sports universe. We bring a lot of value to this co-working industry in the sense that, and I tell people this every day, there's not another workspace in the country like Formation. 60% of our member base was predicated on Cowboys Club, which is a country club out at the Star. People pay, an initiation fee just like they would at Prestonwood Country Club, or and it's a supper club essentially. So we recruited the first majority of our member base from the Cowboys Club. You fuse that with players coming in, whether they're current players or Cowboys alumni, many of whom are members at Formation, coming in and meeting with our clientele, and then just who we've been able to recruit as a result of that. Our member base is our highest asset. You can come around and see how beautiful our space is, and the dirt that we sit on is obviously incredible, but our members are the most unique thing about Formation. So
and I've been over there. It is nice. It's a nice setup over there. So I want to ask you a question, because obviously, being young like you are, and I think we got you on the show like fast. We did this really fast. We didn't have time to prep like we normally do, but our whole show is really about, you heard me say, like magic makers, creators, dreamers, and achievers. And we try to find people that come on the show that kind of exhibit certain things that we're looking for, and that's why I was talking about like the hustling and that mentality. And obviously I think you're a magic maker. I think you're the person that's making things happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's where I always try to figure out, where do these people fit into this space? But what I want to ask you, because you've kind of gone from, you did car sales, and you did the college recruiting, and now you're doing sales. You're doing sales in all of these, but very different audiences, right? What do you feel like has been like the biggest challenge for you in this industry, maybe, and what you've been trying to do?
Well, we're living in a post-pandemic world. I would say the biggest challenge has also been the biggest opportunity. I mean, that being through the pandemic, more and more people transition to working from home.
Right.
Business owners reimagined what that type of overhead really means to their business in the traditional brick and mortar structure. Why am I paying my own utilities? Why am I paying for this massive space that I don't need? Okay. The challenge is getting people out of the house. A lot of people are comfortable working in their sweatpants and being able to go take a dip in the pool if you're so lucky.
Yeah.
But it's presenting the value of, Look, there's so many, I've met you at several networking events. There's so many people out there that are ready to get out and start to build community in the business space, and we've presented the mecca for them.
Okay.
To come out and to be in an environment where people are movers and shakers, and success drives success. And it's just like, you feel this just Cowboys way when you come into Formation. I think the challenge is getting somebody to reimagine what co-working can be for their business, where they've been a manager of a sales team. They say, well, my people are kind of loud on the phone. I'm loud on the phone.
Yeah.
How do you envision yourself in this new world where we're able to present opportunities for business to operate as efficiently as possible, I guess, from an expense perspective. So
it's interesting. Yeah. Well, and I know, I think COVID, there's the post-pandemic, it's like, there are things that came from that obviously are negative, right?
Yeah.
And there's opportunity that came from that. And I think a lot of people as entrepreneurs have made shifts and doing things differently that we would have never expected we had to do.
Absolutely.
Right? So in this co-oping space, it's so funny because I think it's so interesting. I was sharing with somebody, I don't know who I was talking to, but I was sharing this information that when I was growing up, so a long time ago. Before you
Sure wasn't that long.
Before you were thought of. My kids always think this is funny because I tell them stories and they're like, they can never imagine that I was young. My mom had a executive suite. She owned a business, and people don't know what executive suites are now, but they're like co-op spaces.
Yeah.
Basically, she was like the switchboard. She'd answer their phone. She did their typing for them. She did their bookkeeping, and then they would rent little office spaces in her suite.
Okay, yeah.
So she basically owned the thing. They would pay to have office space.
That's
and
amazing.
they would hire her
Yeah.
for all their services and stuff. And so you don't really see that anymore.
No.
Now we got co-op space and virtual assistants, right?
Absolutely.
So, so I've been kind of privy to like seeing how that is kind of, how that worked and really how that's evolved now, which is really neat. And I think these co-op spaces are great for a lot of people that don't want to have these big spaces, but they need a space to work.
Absolutely.
Right? And they want it in a great place. And yeah, y'all set up over there. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's a really nice.
It right now. I was like, this
Are you?
place is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a great
It really
setup.
is.
It
It's
really is.
unlike anything in the co-working industry, and I'm not being hyperbolic. I mean, I tend to be, but not in this instance.
He's so funny. He definitely loves what he does, and that's good. You have to listen, we said it, in sales you gotta like what you do, right? Because if you don't, it ain't fun.
Well, that's the culture of my organization, and it's a very. I came from a sales team in my first role over at the stadium of 11 people all competing for the next promotion, and they came and said to us, "Hey, we've got an opportunity for you." When the vice president of my division comes and says, "We need somebody for this formation role who's self-motivated, doesn't have to have their hand hold, and is looking to make a statement."
Yeah.
And that's the cowboy energy.
Ran
I
with
feed
it.
off of that. I look at people in this organization, and I mean, again, back to being hyperbolic, but I want to be a part of the Cowboys story. And I think you have to have that hunger and that drive.
I'm getting chills just listening to him. See what I'm talking about? It's that freaking drive, that passion. I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're selling typewriters. We don't even have typewriters. Get excited about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because nobody cares. And if you're not excited, how are you going to get anybody to buy what you have if you don't
That's
even
right.
care,
You got to
right?
buy you got to be able to buy what you're
I don't
selling.
get it. Like, people do things and they're like, it's like they don't enjoy what they do and they're trying to do this. And it's like, if you don't like it, do something different. Then find something you can get passionate about.
I totally relate to that. Hence the random stint in financial aid for 12 months. So.
See, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Yeah, and I mean, and it's even like I was in the network marketing space for 21 years, and and I tell the story that when I got in there, I got in because I loved the idea of being an entrepreneur. I really liked the idea, and I've said this. I said it in the several previous episodes. I have no issues with people that do network marketing because there are a lot of people that do really good. I do have issues with some of the things that go on in network marketing.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time there, so I've seen them. But the thing is that I realized after I did all that I liked selling and I liked building relationships. But I woke up one day, and this was after I had all this stuff happen. And I was like, when I came back out of it, I was like, because I was so make it. I said, nobody ever wakes up and gets excited because they think their lipstick changed their life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't ever hear somebody get up and go,
I have a few drag queens that I know that would beg to differ.
I guess I needed.
Fair
Well,
enough.
I guess fair
I don't
enough.
live in that
needed to
neighborhood,
sell
so I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I needed to sell to drag queens because none of my clients. I mean, they loved me, and I was a great consultant for them. I mean, I had some of my clients for 20 years.
Wow.
I had some people like after I moved from Houston to here, they were still buying from
That's
me.
a testament
in Houston.
to you. Yeah,
So,
that's amazing.
But I never felt that like passion to the product.
Yeah.
I felt the passion to the opportunity because I enjoyed being an entrepreneur and helping other people be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so when I went through my whole health thing, it sort of became like an integrity issue for me because when I no longer could lead due to my health and I wasn't passionate about what I was doing, it sort of kind of compounded into this whole integrity thing for me where I was like, okay, like, this is stupid. I'm trying to sell this to people and I ain't even excited about this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, hello, I can't do this.
At that point, you're in a corner.
Exactly.
You're doing it for personal sustainability.
Exactly. And why do you want to be doing that?
Yeah.
Especially if you have to sell something, right? You better like it.
I
You're doing
totally
good
agree
stuff.
with you. I appreciate
You're
that.
doing good stuff. I can tell you're on fire. So I love it. I had another question. I totally lost it because we got off onto that whole tangent.
It's all right.
We got off onto that whole thing. It
was a good tangent.
So, but I got to think of my next thing here. This house flipping thing. So you got your MBA. What'd you get your MBA in?
Organizational leadership.
Oh, okay. So I could see that too. Definitely. Very cool. And then you flipped your first house.
I did. That was an incredible experience. bought this house, back in 2019. That house had been sitting on the market for 3 months. I was kind of able to go and kind of bully the seller into knocking the price down and making a couple of concessions for me. And I'm moving in and unloading the truck with 2 boys that I'm moving in with me. You know, the whole idea on my end was they would be paying me rent and be paying my mortgage for me.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbor says, "I can't believe you bought a house in this neighborhood. This is a terrible neighborhood." I said, "Oh my God." And so
what did I do?
Yeah, we unpack and I go into my bedroom to turn the fan on because it's July in South Alabama. And as you know, here in Texas, it's sweltering down here. But the ceiling fan, I turn it on and it falls out of the ceiling. I didn't get a wink of sleep that night. I thought somebody was going to kick in my back door because of my crazy redneck neighbor. And then the next morning, I go up to make myself a pot of coffee in the morning. And I see mouse trails in my kitchen. I just said, "What in God's name did I just get myself into?" You know, but yeah, you're always going to, I think for every major purchase I've ever made in my life, there is a little bit of buyer's remorse. It's a natural reaction. It didn't help that I had crazy redneck neighbor and ceiling fan conundrum and whatever else. But no, it was very exciting. I would encourage any young person who has the means to do so to give it a try. Home ownership, it's a learning experience. Your first home is going to stress the heck out of you, but it's going to be a passion project if you really sink your teeth into it.
Yeah.
We had all sorts of issues. I lived in a very susceptible to hurricane area.
Yeah.
I took an $8,000 bath on a new HVAC system. Learned how to kind of put lipstick on a pig when it came to renovating the floors and just how a fresh coat of paint, the agreeable gray. I'm detecting a little bit of agreeable gray.
I have agreeable gray in my house.
Yeah, just some little things you can do, but to create value with your hands. I mean, maybe not everybody has that same passion, but there's something that's just so absolutely fulfilling about it, and I think I got real lucky, too, with it. Nobody would have predicted a pandemic, and then, of course, the effect it was going to have on the housing market supply and what it has done. I mean, I think we're starting to kind of come down, but unbelievable luck there, too. So,
yeah. You remind me a little bit. I have a friend that she's young. She just turned 40, but I met her in Houston back when she was actually, funny story. I was teaching aerobics.
Yeah.
I think I was pregnant with my 3rd child, so I would have been late 20s because I had my youngest when I was 32. So late 20s, early 30s. I was pregnant with my son. And I was teaching aerobics class, and she was, I think at the time, 17. And she was coming into a class, and she was on my team for a while when I was in network marketing. Well, she is now she's 40. She's got her kids are big. And long story short, she went into real estate.
Yeah.
And this was a girl that had no money, came from poor. I've had her on on the old podcast. I will show her. You'll remember her. But she came from poor upbringing. I mean, was in an abusive relationship, and then she just started flipping houses and was doing incredibly well, doing on that, then creating passive income. Became a broker, and she was doing videos and training other young people how to flip houses and do all that. So it was fun to watch her kind of go through that. But it all started with that whole in the mortgage, doing in that industry.
Absolutely.
So, who knows? If you're like him, you could get your first house, and it comes with free pets.
Exactly, free pets.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. You learn. I mean, you learn stuff, which is kind of going to lead me to my next question. With you, because we have all kinds of people listen to this show, and some people are in the entrepreneur space, some people are in the professional space.
Sure.
Some people are younger, some are older. So as a young person, because you've achieved a lot in a very short time, I'm impressed by this, because I think that there are a lot of people that go through their lives that really don't ever embrace their gifts. They just go through their life, and then they get to the end and they're like, well, I should have done that. And I don't sense that with you. I sense you're going to be the person that's like, if I want to do that, I'm going after it. I'm not going to be that I wish I would have, could have, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be I did a. Okay? So as a young person, what would you say you feel like you've learned, going through, maybe this short journey in the sales, maybe just in the sales industry, or your journey per se?
If you're getting comfortable, it's time to rethink things. Live in uncomfort.
Yeah.
You cannot be afraid to take a risk. I'm surrounded by a lot of people, especially in my age range, who get comfortable, have an idea or an assumption, and believe that if they stay the path, somebody will notice them. Something will turn out positively because they're a good person. They're inherently a good person. Now, I don't dispute that. We're speaking in generalities right now, but I can think of specific people that are fabulous people.
Right.
But they're afraid to step out of their comfort zone. Be able to get out and learn a new skill, to try a new opportunity, and to be noticed. I mean, I run hot. There are times when I really feel like I'm not doing enough. I got to do more. I got to,
Sure. Sure.
But you have got to get out there and take a risk. Nobody worth remembering, or nobody that we've studied in a history book got comfortable standing at the back of a pack. You got to be somebody who steps away from the pack and forges your own path. So you'll be somebody that one day is talked about and we learn lessons from. I don't know. That's just kind of my thought.
I cannot wait to see you in like a few years.
Right.
Like I'm listening to this and I'm like, in like 20 years from now, if we're still doing this show, I'll bring it back.
Come back for the anniversary show.
We'll get it back on and be like, okay, remember when we had this conversation when you were just a young...
I'm 50 now. I can't remember that.
You're young, inspired. No, but seriously, all joking aside, I'm going to watch him. Like, I want to see what he does in the next few years because, like, he's got the freaking... It's like my son, I swear to God. It's like the drive and the passion, which is so huge.
Yeah.
And you're right. When you said a few minutes ago about, like, many people, unfortunately... I know a lot of people my age that are like that too.
Yeah.
I think you know what? It's kind of like when we're talking about entrepreneurs. I don't know which show was it Jay Mamie said this, like there's entrepreneurs and there's wannapreneurs or whatever. Yeah. I feel like that's just how it is with everything. It's like in running, it's even like there's people that want to run and there's people that want to run.
Yeah.
Everybody is, I feel like it's always like this. And if you are in a room with people that are all comfortable, you're going to be comfortable. You're going to stay in that same space they are at, and you're never going to move out of it. You've got to be willing to be uncomfortable. You've got to be willing to put yourself in a different space. And I was telling the guests before this, I do that even with networking events. There are some networking events that I go into, and I automatically know. I have to decide, it's like, do I want to go to this one or not? Because I know when I go in there, not that I don't like the people, but I know that they're not inspiring me. They're not, the energy is just not, we're drinking. We're just going to sit around and drink.
Absolutely.
And then there's ones I go into, when I go in there, I know I'm going to have a great conversation with somebody. There's going to be something, I don't know what that looks like, you know what I mean? But I know that it's going to be a different type of conversation.
Definitely.
And so you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right?
No.
You want to be in a place where you're open to growing and learning and adapting.
Absolutely. Humbling yourself. That's where growth occurs, so.
It's very good. Well, good for you. I love it. I think you're going to be doing some awesome things. I'm excited to see where all this goes. So tell us what it's like working at the Cowboys. I know you've touched upon a lot of things. What are you loving about it over there?
Gosh. Well, the transition from the stadium to the Star has been night and day. The team is only out at the stadium on game day. So I'm truly in Cowboy land now. I mean, bumping into players we eat in the same lunchroom.
Yeah.
There's just an energy. The whole C-suite is there. We've got all of our partner executives coming out. Jerry flies his helicopter down on the practice field. That's his landing spot.
Yeah.
And all the development in Frisco, it's just unbelievable. Not to say that Arlington Entertainment District hasn't come a long way, but Frisco is really kind of the manifest destiny of North Texas is being represented in Frisco right now.
Yeah, I would agree with
so many corporate relocations. You see cranes everywhere, and I think of it as just a place of growth and extreme optimism.
Yeah. How long have you been down here from? Are you originally from here?
I'm
you are. Yeah, that's right. You always said that. You said that. You're born and raised, and you went to Alabama for school.
I did. I spent my first 6 years of my 20s in Alabama and then came back here. So it's been a little over a year now since I moved back.
So you're a Texan.
Yes.
So I said that. I don't know why I haven't asked you that. See, told you the brain cells are starting to go stupid.
It's all right.
It's been here for a while. So I had another question I was going to ask you, and I forgot what I wanted to. Oh, I know what I want to ask you. I want to see what you say on this. If we had to sum you up in one word, what would you say that is?
Ooh, one word.
I want to see what he says on this one.
Some might say, it depends on what circle you're asking, but some might say goofy. I would probably say passionate.
Passionate? I think it's a good word. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could probably get the same answer out of a lot of people, but
yeah.
Anything I try to set my mind to, I really do try to see through and pour myself into. And sometimes that takes away from other parts of my life. But, it's just one of those things. When I have a goal in my mind, I'm going to throw myself at it completely.
You're going after it. Any advice you want to offer a young person, maybe that's looking to go after something? Like maybe they want to pursue sales, I don't know, or maybe they've got this next big thing, their next big promotion they're working on.
I think as young people, we're always looking for opportunity. And I think in our mind, opportunity always seems like a pleasant, hey, like this is going to be great. I'm getting a promotion, whatever.
Right.
Sometimes that opportunity might look a little ugly at first.
Yeah.
Sometimes that risk may not feel so comfortable and so safe to you. But just know that if you've gotten to the point where you can take that risk, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and realize, and also know your support system, but realize that, without taking that risk, you're never going to experience real growth. So especially while you're young, if you don't have people that are accountable to you, little kids or a wife or a family at home, be comfortable and be focused on taking those calculated risks because they're going to ultimately pay off at some point. So
just be patient, right?
Absolutely.
Be open and be patient to the process.
It's going to come in different shapes and sizes.
It's a hard thing for a lot of people because people want that instant gratification, so they don't quite understand that sometimes you just gotta go through the hell to get to to that. It's almost like somewhere along the line that some people just don't get taught that part of life or something, right? It's like they miss that part or something. But, and even in entrepreneurship, you find that. That's why so many, I think, businesses go under so quickly. Like they go up and they have a few things that don't pan out. And instead of saying, okay, what do I need to take away from this and regroup and figure this out, they just go into that didn't work, I'm done.
Yeah. You got to hedge your bets. I mean, taking risks is important in life, but you also have to be prepared to deal with the fallout.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good stuff. Yeah. I think we should do some fun questions.
Okay.
This has been great.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been great fun chatting with you. I'm excited to see, like I said, how this all keeps kind of unfolding for you. I have no doubt you're going to do some great things in there. And I always get inspired by young people because so many young people are not motivated. So when I find some that are, I get excited to just kind of follow them and see what they're doing. You're great at leadership and having conversations with people and engaging and building relationships. And I think that's important in what you're doing. So let's do some fun questions.
All right, let's do it.
All right. You starting or me?
Sure, I'll start. What's your favorite type of music?
Ooh, I'm an old soul. I lately, just on the way to work in the mornings to get myself hyped up, I've got my Spotify on repeat. A lot of AC/DC.
That's on my Spotify list too.
In my adolescence, a lot of Led Zeppelin.
That's so funny.
But I'm kind of all over the place. I mean,
so you're naming a lot of my artists.
So funny.
I mean, there's not an artist. Kenny Rogers, Grateful Dead. I was very intimate with them in college. Willie Nelson, of course. I mean, I am primarily, people would say, maybe like a 50 or 60-year-old trapped in a 27-year-old's body when it comes to my music taste.
Wise beyond, I would say that too. You're a little wise beyond yours. It's funny though because I hear my son's Spotify list is all 80s music. It's all. Although the other day he's been listening to ABBA.
Yeah.
He knows all the ABBA songs.
I happen to be familiar with quite a bit of their catalog.
Chiquita, whatever I was having to listen to the other day. And I'm like, what is this song? I don't even know that song. But I crack up because he'll be like, the other day he got in the car and he put Erasure on. He's like, Mom, let's sing this together. I'm like, okay, Sean. So funny.
That's awesome.
You like listening to all Mom's music.
Well, that's how I am.
Yeah, he was singing, I think that was oh God, I'm drawing a blank right now. I don't know. I know all their songs, but he will put this music on, and I'm like, dude, your Spotify list is my Spotify list.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the same lists going on here? That's funny. So funny. All right. I want to ask him the concert question because he's on. First concert you ever attended?
Lionel Richie. My mom took me when I was 7. Yeah.
That's fun.
We listened to a lot of Commodores growing up, and she just loved his solo career too. Yeah.
Well, I took my oldest to Def Leppard and Poison.
Wow.
I think it might have been what's his name now? Brett Michaels. I think it might have just been Def Leppard.
Okay.
Brett Michaels, but I took her to that. She was not amused at all.
Brett Mike, was he Whitesnake? Is
He
that
was
right?
Poison.
Poison? Okay.
I do have a White Snake CD at home still.
Okay.
Coverdale's White Snake.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have a CD, White Snake.
Wow.
I still have CDs. I have like a lot of I have albums too. But yeah, I took her to that, but she wasn't impressed. But I did go to a 9 Inch Nails, and she was disappointed that I didn't take her to the 9 Inch
Wow.
Nails.
Okay.
So, so my kids all have some of my. I heard my middle was listening to Fleetwood Mac, and I'm like, they all listen to my music, like in different.
Yeah.
And the Beatles. She had the Beatles on one day.
I love the Beatles. You know?
I guess it's funny because they don't like to think, I don't know about you, but they don't like to admit that anything I do is cool.
Well, when I was a certain age, absolutely. And then my mom got, to the point. She had a short-term memory. She forgot that we were blaring Van Halen on road trips, but by the time I was a teenager, putting Jimi Hendrix on in the house was turn the music down.
Yeah,
I was like, you made me this way,
Right,
okay?
That's what Sean does. He wears the music.
Yeah.
That's what he does at my house. He cranks it up so loud.
Yeah.
But it's the music that I'm listening to, and I'm like, I can't even think right now. Like it's so freaking loud, I can't think. But you like this song.
Yeah, come on,
you like
Mom.
Madonna like a virgin.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but do we have to play that on the 9 octave? Like seriously, can we just?
Everyone have to know it?
Does the whole neighborhood need to know that? So,
Yeah.
anyways, but funny. Do you have another question?
Favorite food?
Ooh, good question. I grew up in a Lebanese American family, so I've always had I wasn't a chicken tender kid growing up. I always had
chicken nuggets.
I had an adventurous palate growing up. God
awesome.
bless. That being said, I have, just recently relocated to Addison, and there's this little pizza place right across the street from me not terribly far from me, called Bay 34th. And they're a family-owned pizza place. They came down from New Jersey. It's a family of Albanians, believe it or not. They make this good New York-style pizza. They make a good Philly cheesesteak.
What is it with Albanians that make great Italian food?
I want to bring if there's anything besides, motivating young people that we can get out of this podcast, Albanians make great Italian food.
They do.
I just want to emphasize that.
There was this place in Garland for the longest time, and it was called Solly's.
Yeah.
And it was all Albanian. Fantastic Italian
Yes.
food.
Huh. Interesting.
Every Sunday I eat a takeout order of chicken Alfredo. I get a good night of sleep after that. So I'm kind of a creature of habit.
Although Alfredo technically isn't Italian.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
White sauce was not invented in Italy. It was invented here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Probably because we like cheese.
Yeah.
Remember, we like cheese on everything.
Yeah, if you go to a true Italian place, they'll be like, hey, there's no Alfredo here.
Yeah.
It's American.
I even did a semester abroad in Italy, and I didn't know that. So wow. I'm a little ashamed to not know that. Okay, cool.
All right, last question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite team?
Really?
America's team. We live in America, don't we?
Yeah. I had to ask him that just because I knew what you would say.
Well, I'll say this: the Cowboys are my lifelong passion, and people ask me would I ever work for another Dallas sports team. The Mavericks are my team that I will always just be a fan of. I would not think about going to work for anare teher that I've loved my whole life, because you still get that innocence of being a fan, Right. So I'd say the Cowboys obviously are a part of my identity at this point, but the Mavericks, for kids in my generation, I was 14 months old the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. The Mavericks brought a championship to Dallas. Yeah. They are, for my generation, they are the heroes of the city. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I knew what your answer was. I just asked anyways.
Yeah, of course.
I was trying to be serious.
Of course.
I was trying to be serious about this.
I love it.
All right, so this has been so awesome.
Yes,
thank you for sharing with us. I love what you're doing. Like I said, I'm going to watch you, see what's going on. Let's see what happens in this, as your journey, as you keep going. If our audience wants to learn a little bit more about the formation, what you guys offer, what you're doing over there, where do we want to send them?
Let's send them directly to me. I'm John Michael Rogers. You can reach me directly at JROGERS, J Rogers, at DallasCowboys.net. For more information on the space formation, at thestar.com. There's a beautiful YouTube video tour there. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll send them over there. We'll make sure when this goes out, we'll get you connected.
I appreciate that.
On there. So it's been fun. Enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So we do want to say to our audience, of course, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook. We can't do this without you. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. And we want to leave you with a parting thought. All right. In order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.